Welcome to the Verdin Verdict Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin, and today we're going to be breaking down an unfortunate regional ending. I know everybody thought LSU was going to come out on top. I thought myself that LSU was going to come out on top. It looked really good in the beginning. There was times where, even during this game, you thought they were going to come out. Let's just start off, breaking down the entire weekend. You play Wofford, things go your way. You play UNC. You lose, and then you go in, and then you make do against Wofford. You come back in against UNC, and the bats are hot. You're playing 2 games in one day. You have 20-plus hits in one of those games. I mean, the bats were just screaming. And you were hoping it was going to translate into today. You get 3 runs through 2 innings, and it just kind of doesn't come together. So, inevitably, LSU season comes to an end, and there is some hope for next year. I will mention that, and we'll kind of talk about that toward the end. But yeah, through the 4th inning, 5th inning, 6th inning, and 7th inning, both teams combined 1 for 25. The pitching was crazy. The defense was crazy. Like we said, LSU eventually climbed back into the lead toward the 3rd inning. They go up 3-2, and then it was just dead. Strictly defensive baseball. Strictly a nail biter, going back and forth. And in the end, it looked like LSU was going to be able to pull something out. But then, of course, you have a play where the ball goes down and Tommy White doesn't make the play on it. You get the out. Things look to go into your favor. Well, I'm not going to say that the refs have to kind of make a call to alleviate the pressure from another call. Sometimes, the refs are just like, hey, we gotta plead both sides. I don't know what the case may be, but UNC batter comes in, check swing, drops. It doesn't really put LSU in a situation to lose the game off rip just because the ump doesn't call that check swing. But what happens the very next pitch where it goes into left field, runner comes around, LSU lose their lead. It's like, damn, bro, that's worst case scenario, worst possible time for something like that to happen. And there was a lot of other defensive mishaps. There's a lot of other things that happened during the game, of course, but this one little piece is just something that sticks out and something that, is going to really piss off some LSU fans for quite some time. But look, this is what I want to kind of say. At the beginning of the year when things weren't going LSU's way, you really didn't expect them to be in a regional, potentially winning the Game 7 against UNC, coming back to the box for a super regional. We really didn't picture that happening. I know because we were a couple innings away from it, it's kind of hard to, find the positive or go toward the bright spot. But I think it does show that the program's definitely in a trending direction, positive trending direction. I think that, Jay Johnson has some things figured out. Y'all go ahead and put your takes in the comments below of how you feel, what you think happened during the game, what you think should have happened during the game, and what you think LSU needs to do going forward. But I feel like the panic mode really didn't set in like it was in the beginning, because they did clean up toward the end. They did show some growth. They did look like a legitimate baseball team. I mean, if you ask me, if they make it to the Super Regional, it looks like they're going to the College World Series. It looks like they are punching their ticket back to Omaha and could potentially make a crack at another national championship. Now, you potentially lose Tommy White just because he's got that first round marked up. I doubt you can convince him to come back, but you do have some positivity with guys like, Monster Milam coming in again, and I know he was kind of frustrated leaving high school because he didn't get to go to the majors and whatnot, and I'm sure his clock is ticking on when he could go, but that's another player I can see going first, second round if he returns and just continues to develop as a talent here. But I feel like, it's just one of those things. I'm not going to say that it's all good. The game is definitely, or losing a game like this is definitely hurtful. It's going to stick with a lot of people for a long time, but I do want to say, though, I think LSU getting to this point, getting to extra innings, being able to scratch and just claw tooth and nail to be able to even host in the NCAA tournament this year after what happened, it's remarkable. So, I mean, there's that. I really don't know what Jay Johnson's plan is moving forward with the pitching staff, with the pitchers, with anything on the defensive side. I'm sure that the press conference that they're entering right now will give a lot more information on that, and we'll be able to clip that up and get that out to you. But all in all, I think it's a tough loss. You would have liked to see a little bit more offensively. You would have liked to see a little bit more from the bats. Defense was looking good. both pitching staffs kind of did good today. LSU had to use a lot of people, and the depth was a question, and it's been for quite some time. But they pulled it together the best they could, and they made it to the final game on the Monday. I'll give them their credit where credit's due, especially for this year, especially with the hand that they were dealt. Moving forward, though, we're going to have a little bit of coverage on Wednesday with the recruiting weekend that LSU just had. You have 2 top 10 wide receivers coming in. Everyone's wanting to know what's going on with Decoria Moore, but we're going to have to figure out what's going on with Khalid Lockett and Mr. French. Also, they have DJ Pickett coming in, and that was a really cool visit because Patrick Peterson showing him around. Now, I really couldn't think of any other DB to put in front of a DB considering to go to LSU. Jim Thorpe Award winner, Pittsburgh Steeler, goes in. We got Fritzy in the chat, Tommy White, horrible final at bat. Yeah, pressure's on. People know where Tommy wants it. People know what Tommy's capable of doing. And then the thing about LSU baseball, I find, is just that. Hold up. The thing about LSU sports in general, really, that I find is a lot of teams, they play up to the standard. It's a big game. Got a lot of hype, a lot of eyes, a lot of fans. I mean, it's not to say that UNC isn't a good program. They're obviously a great program. They obviously have their historic, traditions and culture with Michael Jordan and just the entire UNC Duke rivalry. They've had their bit of crazy environments, but I just feel like LSU's environment is a little bit different. It drew some stuff out of them here in this region. We had a lot of juice into the stadium. You see walk-offs after walk-offs, and you almost had a walk-off tonight. So, I mean, it was a pressure-filled moment, to say the least. I do think Tommy White's going to have a very good career in the majors. He's a really good player. I mean, what he did for us last year was incredible. Speaking of walk-offs, I mean, Tommy was the go-to guy, and I think that sometimes puts a big enough target on your back where it's hard to, in those pressure-filled moments, make something happen, especially in baseball. I mean, they're just not trying to put you in a position to score, especially when you're a batter that scores time and time again. I really thought something was going to happen. If there was any guy I'd want going up to the plate, it'd be him or Milan, but it's like, you get what you get. I'm glad it kind of turned into something competitive rather than them losing 3-0, 2-0, 4-0, whatever, and just getting the hell beat out of them. So this was a little bit more interesting. Yeah, it hurts still, but I think LSU's definitely trending in the right direction. But we're going to be... Normally on Mondays, we're going to be having G Sports come in. We're going to be talking a little bit of LSU football recruiting. Today's show got pushed back a little bit, and the shows this week will be getting pushed back as well. We'll be working on the Kim Mulkey camp. We'll be taking some photos with them, so I'm going to be booked up during the daytime. But next week, next Monday, next Wednesday, next Friday, all throughout the summer as well, it's going to be going back to 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. range. Fritzy in the chat, should took Gage about after one inning. Yeah, the pitch and switches all. I mean, I'm just gonna say pitch and switches in general is really, really difficult because it's like what the game plan is going in if you're the pitcher and the coach, and you understand like y'all could be on the same page and like, oh well, you get this many looks, this, that, the third, and the game could take a completely different course and a completely different chain of events. And then now your plan's thrown out the window and you have to make some things shake. And it's kind of hard to see if that's what would happen tonight. I think that, the way that the game played out, especially like, around innings 4 through 7, it looked pretty hard to want to, get off of whatever they were doing. And I'm not saying that LSU made a wrong decision or a right decision. It just is in those pressure-filled moments you're in Game 7, it's really, really hard to want to not take what they're giving you and not just respond in that way. And yeah, looking back on it, all things hindsight are 20/20, but I feel like this game, it looked like it was winnable. It didn't look like there was any major mistakes where I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. It just kind of seems like all in all, LSU played a lot more games than UNC. LSU had to use a lot more depth. These guys are not necessarily banged up, I mean, as far as we know. But it's a taxing weekend comparatively to a team that played less baseball. And I guess that is just one of the things we're going to have to consider. LSU played 2 games yesterday. One of them against UNC, sure. But, you come out again today, it's just hard to keep the guys fresh. It's hard to keep them in. I know that they had a chance to play the box, and that was supposed to boost them up and juice them up. But also, you did beat these guys yesterday. And they kind of got a little bit to work off. They had a game where they won. They had a game where they lost. They were able to regroup. And ultimately, it'll be interesting to see where they go. But we'll kind of wrap it up right here. Short little stream. We'll be going to live again Wednesday. We'll probably go live around the same time. We'll go live toward the later evening. We'll talk about some LSU football. Probably bring up some NFL rookies, LSU. For more LSU coverage, though, hit us on social media at Verdin Verdict, whether it be Facebook, whether it be Instagram, TikTok. Of course, we're here on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We'll be back. Let us know what you want. Let us know what you want to talk about. And chime in the chat and join the discussion. Thanks for watching. You have a good night.